friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. In my hand I hold a relatively new violin. I believe this, if I remember correctly, was purchased from the St. Louis Music Company, formerly St. Louis Music. I think they still use that name, but they're owned by U.S. Band and Orchestra anyway at this point in time. It's a nicely made violin. It's not a, I wouldn't call it a cheapy. I'm sure it's kind of middle of the road in terms of cost. Try to see if I can tell you the name in here. It's another German name, which you already know I'm not any good at German, so there you go. It's Ernst Heinrich Roth. Bubenruth, E-R-I-L-A-N-G-E-N, I think. That I could be an L, but it's hard to tell on that. Anyway, it says 1983. It's a nicely made fiddle. In terms of everything about it, I see no problem at all. The customer was concerned that he thought there was a crack developing here. I do see a line there, but I seriously cannot make that be a crack. I see a line, but I don't think it's an issue. And even if it is a crack, I don't think it's a big issue. So basically, this is just in to try to make it sound better. It doesn't really need much work. The things I'm going to do to make it sound better, I'm going to adjust intonation in terms of where the bridge is. I'm going to adjust the sound post inside, and I'm going to put on, I think, a better quality of string. 3 larger strings appear to be wrapped, but the E string is not wrapped. It's solid steel. So I'm going to put on all wrapped strings from Diodario. They're the Pro Art strings, which I think are really nice. Plus they have a nylon core. So they tone things down a little bit, make it sound a little better in my opinion. So all I'm really going to do on this video, it's going to be short, is I'm going to play a little bit on it right now, and as you know, I'm not a violin player, so you just have to bear with me on that, and just so we can do a sound comparison before and after. So here's what it sounds like before. I'll try to stay about in the same distance. You know, I can't play one, but that's as good as I can do. So anyway, that gives you an idea. It's loud, it's clear, really doesn't sound that bad, just my playing. I mean, the instrument itself, I think, sounds pretty good, really. I'm reasonably impressed with it, you know, for where it came from and the story behind it. You know, I think it's a fairly decent fiddle. But I do think we make it sound a little more mellow, but still have the punch. So here we go. I'm really not going to show much of this at all. I'll just show you the highlights. First thing I'm going to do is take the strings off of it. If I run into anything along the way that I think you'll be interested in seeing, I'll show it to you. Action-wise, it's not too bad. There is a little bit of height here that maybe could go away, but the thing about that is if you reduce the height here, then you have to cut this bridge down, and if you cut the bridge down, then you're reducing your volume. So I'm not going to cut it down, I don't think, at least at this time. Well, friends, I'm going to give you the sound of it now. Now keep in mind, I have not changed the bridge yet, and I have not changed the sound post. This is just the new strings, nothing else has changed. I do think I can make some additional improvements to it by making some changes in those areas. But right now, I think you'll notice a slight difference in the sound just from the strings. Now, had these been cheap strings, the strings that were on it, in other words, had those been cheap strings, you would hear a huge difference. The strings that were on it, I wouldn't call them cheap strings. They were reasonably decent quality. The difference is they didn't have a wound E. So most of the sound difference you're going to hear is going to be in the wound E. I think I had the camera up when I did the last sound check, so I'll put it back. I think that's where I had it. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, listen to it now. It's probably not going to sound that much different. I didn't hit that very well. know if you can tell anything from that at all. The E string is definitely less shrill. That's one thing I can tell. All E strings are shrill, but this is definitely better sound on the E string. Alright, now I'm going to work on the bridge and the sound post, and that's probably where you'll hear the biggest difference. So here we go. I've decided I am not going to switch and make a new bridge for this. I thought about doing that, and I could do that, but I looked at the quality of this bridge, which is what I have in stock. It's very, very good, don't get me wrong, but the bridge on it already is about the same quality, so I don't see any reason to charge the customer for a new bridge. But I am cutting the old bridge down. I've decided to change the top arching a little bit, mostly because I want to change the string spacing. The string spacing, in my opinion, was too close together. I'm going to spread that out, and when you spread that out, that spreads the sound across the top a little better as well. So that's another thing that will help improve the sound of the violin, even though I think the violin actually has a pretty good sound to begin with. I mean, I'm not knocking it. I just think we can improve it a little bit here, a little bit there, which just helps the whole thing, you know. And so that's what we're doing. So I just showing you here that I'm thinning it down. You can see there's quite a bit of wood scraps that I've actually taken off of it. Not to mention I've taken some off of the height as well. Just a little bit off the height, not that much. Now, taking it off the height, I have to admit, is kind of counterproductive in terms of your tone, in terms of volume at least. This fiddle has a lot of volume, so I'm not worried about the volume aspect, especially no more than I reduced it. I didn't reduce the height that much. Just made it a little bit better for playing, I think. I also cut the top of the bridge a little bit, I think a little more toward what most folks like. I have a little flatter side on the treble and then a little more arched on the bass side. And I'm thinning it down because I reduced the height. I'm thinning it down, which will also help the mellowness. I don't know that it'll give you that much more volume, but it'll give you more body to the volume that's coming out by thinning this down. And I think we're just about there. So I'll show you how I set the string spacing here in a minute. I have this thing set up just about as well as I can do it. I've reduced the height here just a little bit, mostly just because I wanted to spread these strings out, and you know, I had to get rid of the previous little grooves that were in there. I've got the string spread across this much wider now. It's using the whole bridge. I think that's important myself. I also set the distance from here to the front edge of this bridge down the E string, and I set that at 325 millimeters. When I did that, that kind of put the sound post in the right place, and the sound post was at a slight angle in there. It was leaning kind of forward like that, and I straightened it up. I also have the bridge sitting on there really straight, so that it's straight up and down. I cut the thickness of the bridge down. So let's hear it now. I think it does sound much more clear and much more mellow now, less harsh, which I think is really important, and that's what the customer was going for. Now, whether I can play it where it sounds that way or not is a totally different story. Anyway, here we go. Well, if I hit the last note better, it would have been nice. Double note, you know, trying to hit two notes, make them sound the same. I'm not that good at it. It's got a real nice sound regardless of my playing. Very clear, nice and mellow. If he's a fiddle player, I think he will enjoy the heck out of this thing now. I hope you enjoyed what I did there. I hope you enjoyed those few little pointers. Again, spreading the strings out, setting the intonation at about 325 millimeters on most violins seems to be about right, although some need to be a little further back. And then getting that sound post set, I'm going to say approximately a quarter inch behind the foot on the E string there. That's about right. Getting that sound post straight up and down. Cutting some thickness out of your bridge always helps if you can have a real thin bridge. Now, I gotta be honest, this is one of the thinner bridges that I've ever set up. It's very thin. That helps it though. As long as you keep your bridge straight up and down, that's great. As soon as you let that bridge start to slant forward a little bit, if it's thin like this, it'll cause that bridge to bow. So you wanna make sure you keep it straight up and down. And, we also put on the best quality strings, for the money. You can certainly pay a lot more money for strings. These strings are in the neighborhood of around $45, something like that. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not yet subscribed, just click the subscribe button. For those of you who are not sure about the subscribing thing, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. You just click the button, and then if you want to, then you can also click the bell after you click the subscribe thing, and the bell will then have YouTube send you emails and let you know when I put out a new video. That's all it amounts to. The subscriber thing just kind of helps my base and maybe gets these videos out in front of more people. So thank you very much.